What's up, guys? Zunari here, and today I'm going to be talking about the new premium stride from History Collection and how this might possibly affect Bermuda in a good way. Now, I know Bermuda um, in premium format does have a very highly competitive deck, which is Highlander using Reindeer. But today I wanted to talk about possibly some new avenues since this new stride has been revealed and they're updating all the old strides to be able to allow other clans to use their stride bearers. So yesterday, because this is the day after, the 22nd, they revealed the updated Gallblade, which basically allows you to get 2 force markers if you have Blue Sky Knight Alt Mile as your heart, and if you didn't obtain a Magic Gift this fight, you can stride this card from your G zone as an act, and all the on-hit abilities of the original unit is can activate even if it's not hit. So this means that it's possible that most of the clans or all the clans will have this ability to gain at least 2 Magic Gifts, or it might change depending on the clan or the deck or the nation, but more so that Bermuda most likely might get one of getting 2 Magic Gift Force, and I kind of want to discuss like the possible avenues that we can go with this. Although Highlander is the best deck of the format for Bermuda Triangle, I still think it's still open to discussion about what other avenues the clan could take and what people have been thinking about. So me and other people have been thinking about like what possibly we could use Lauris for, since on one of the slides from I think a couple weeks ago that they showed Shawnee as the stride fodder for Bermuda Triangle that's being reprinted, and they are reprinting even the original Blue Sky Knight Alt Mile. So it's safe to say that Lauris will most likely be returning as the stride bearer, and Somni, which is the on-hit stride that they revealed to be for Bermuda Triangle, will most likely target Miracle Force Lauris. So I wanted to just start and talk over some of the possible cards that we might play, some avenues we can go about, and so on and so forth. So I want to talk about Somni herself. So her ability is very simple. So Vanguard Circle, when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, choose one of your rear guards, return it to your hand, choose the 1 card from your hand and call it, and that unit gets 3,000 power to the end of the turn. So it's basically a free Admired Spica. If you're familiar with Spica, she is a grade 2 for way back when. She has been reprinted for English, and she has a simple ability of GB1. When this unit attacks and it's boosted, you can counter +1. Choose one of your other rearguards, return it to your hand, and choose a card from your hand and call it to Rigor Circle, and that unit gets 2 as a power to the end of the turn. So Somni is basically a free version of Spica. So if you do run this with Miracle Force Lauris, you're able to essentially get 4 attacks for no cost at all. And I think that's very strong for a first stride, but since we have more ways to call cards during the battle phase, I think it's very interesting that we have different routes and different ways to play with this. So first, before we start any of the discussion of like what possible cards we might play, I want to go over Miracle Voice Lauris. So Miracle Voice Lauris has 3 abilities. Her first skill is that she has a Harmony on Vanguard and Rigor Circle. When your other unit is placed in the same column as this unit, both this unit and that unit becomes a Harmony to the end of the turn. So once a unit is removed in the same column as Lauris or a unit with Harmony, they're no longer Harmony. So it's an auto and continuous at the same time. It's weird, just old rulings from the past, as well as just how Harmony was created. So this was one of the first keywords of G error. So, and then her GB2 ability, which is auto Vanguard once a turn. When this unit becomes in harmony, choose 2 of your units. They get power plus 5,000 in a turn, and this unit gets 1 critical at the end of the turn. So with this skill, you're actually able to use this defensively. And back in G era, sometimes you would not be able to stride. So if she became in harmony, you're able to give maybe herself or 2 other rear guards 5k, and she would get a critical. So she has some pressure. So it was a free spread of 10k and a crit to the Vanguard. But this is most likely can be used in a defensive way, as in you could give 2 units herself and another rear guard in a front row, maybe like a grade 2 intercept or a grade 1 you want to protect, 5k, and she will be a 16k Vanguard. And then her last skill is which is her stride bonus, auto Vanguard circle, Kairos 1. During your turn while your G unit stride, you're gonna pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your rear guards, return it to your hand. If you return the rear guard, draw a card. So this might not be the most strongest skill compared to some other of the stride bearers that we have in the past, but a main phase bounce for it will be a main phase bounce with the new stride, and you're able to draw cards. You're able to reuse stuff if you want, like Q tire, just for example, or any like on place that nets you advantage or things your deck, you're able to just use it again, which is very valuable, since most Bermuda cards from either V series or even just from Lyrical Monasterio doesn't really have access to that much main phase bounce. So with Lauris, you're able to just bounce a card, you're able to net value from that. So overall, I think just for this point for Lauris, I think she is the right choice of stride bearer. It would be interesting if they allowed Wonderful Voice Lauris, since you're able to bounce 2 cards and you're able to draw 1, adding on an extra Soul Blast for that. But I think to be on theme with everything else, especially Blue Sky Knight Alt Mile is the first stride bearer for Royal Paladin, it makes sense just to have Miracle Voice Lauris as the first one. So I alluded to earlier that one of the cards we can use is Amaro Sparkle Speaker, because if we are getting 2 force gifts, we can stack both of them on 1 circle, and you can call any rear guard that isn't Speaker herself that gains a lot of power, and you can use that circle to hit massive numbers if your opponents are grade 2. So it works, and it allows you to basically return to old Bermuda Triangle route combos with Speaker. And if you do know them, good for you. You know how to play old Bermuda well using the Speaker combos. And it just allows the deck to return back to its roots, basically, for one of the options. So using Amara Speaker or her grade 3 version, Sparkle and her Heart Speaker. So Sparkle and her Heart Speaker has Harmony, basically her GB1 if she's on Vanguard Rigor Circle. When your unit is placed during your battle phase, this and that unit gets 2,000 power 10 in a turn. So even if she's in the back row, it could give your extra rear guards an extra 2k power to hit a little bit better numbers. Now, since some bosses are returning back to 11k, which is very important, you can actually hit better numbers, which is an interesting dynamic with these new strides. And her main ability, I like to say, Vanguard Rear Guard, Auto, Kairos won't sub also 1. When this unit attacks the Vanguard, if this unit is in Harmony, you have paid a cost. If you do, choose one of your other rear guards in Harmony, return it to your hand, choose up to 1 card from your hand and call it to Rear Guard Circle. So this is interesting, is because you can do this even on your first grade 3 turn, as before you stride, as long as she's in Harmony or you have another unit in Harmony. So again, you can use either Speaker to your advantage to just extend combos. This does not need a booster, but the grade 2 is a lot more flexible, as in you don't need to run other Harmony units. So another card that benefits from Martoa, I mean not from Martoa, from Somni, is Martoa. I already spoiled it, but the Prism Water Martoa, I spoke about her in the past, but she has one simple ability. Is when this unit is placed on Vanguard or Rear Guard, you get Soul Blast 1, both you and your opponent draw a card. And if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, both you and your opponent choose a card from your hand and call them to Rigard Circle. Your opponent's all abilities do not activate from this call. So you can use Somni with Martoa to get an extra front row attack if you split force markers, or like I said with Speak and Martoa, you can get more attacks. So this just allows you to extend your combos. And Martoa with Somni is basically Silver Blast 1 to get 2 attacks possibly, or even more depending on how many cards you have in your hand, or if you drew Speaker or not. So it's very, very strong. And I think that could be one of the routes that you could go with this deck, and just using Lauris as one of the main stride bearers. Another thing I've been thinking about is the defensive aspect of Lauris. So there are other decks and other old stride bearers that have defensive interactions. Like Gavriel has defensive interaction, as in if a card is placed in your damage zone, your front row gets 2,000 power on a GB2. Night Rose is when your rear guard is retired, you can mill the top 3 cards of your deck and you can call that unit back. And so on and so forth for other cards. A lot of the old stride bearers and cards from G era, a lot of defensive interaction with G guards. Now since we have more of that in since V and now Overdress, Bermuda has one of the more defensive interactions, such as using Rushius with Citron. But also, since Lauris has the ability to just give your Vanguard permanent 16k power over some of the other bosses that also have stride bearers, it's a unique situation that Lauris has, is that she has an extra defensive push that most of the other stride bearers don't have. So a possible card that you could play in your deck is Magical Charge Vita. So Vita also has the Harmony ability, and her main ability is Generation Break 1 on Rigor Circle. Soul Boss 1, return this card to your hand. At the beginning of each player's main phase, or each turn's main phase, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a grade 1 or less card from your hand, call to the open Rigor Circle, and if you have a grade 4 or greater Vanguard, countercharge 1. So you can also call this before your stride if you use something like Citron or Pumo, but this is mainly for when she's behind Lauris or just on your field. You can return it to your hand and call a grade 1 or less from your hand, and Lauris will now be in harmony if you call the unit behind her. So this can allow you to automatically be at 16k before your opponent attacks, which compared to Wonderful Voice Lauris, which is a continuous effect if you're in harmony, if your opponent removes it, you will lose that 5k. But now, since we're using Miracle Voice Lauris, the 5k remains. So your opponent will have to negate the power. You already have a 5k defensive buff, and same since Bermuda has Lauris now, if you have a grade 3 on your board, you can actually use that and increase your base to 21 or even greater depending on other cards that you play in your deck. So I think Lauris is a pretty interesting position where she isn't all that great compared to Highland or some of the other stride bearers that have a lot of combos, but Bermuda has a lot of defensive options and a lot of cards that allow you to filter your deck and to be able to compress it enough that you're able to essentially have like a good balanced deck. I don't think it will be as strong as like the top tier decks. I don't even think it will be that much higher than just a V deck plus Heltrata, but Lauris does open up the option of us to play old Harmony cards and for us to go more of an old Bermuda style route with Speaker combos, and since we have V Martoa, to have more multi-attacks. This also opens up the chance of us using older strides such as Olivia. Now, Olivia's effect is Vanguard, Karamas 1, and you will Persona Flip, which is basically the same name as this card in your G zone. When it attacks a Vanguard, if the number of face-up cards in your G zone is 1 or more, which is basically making his GB2, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to 5 rear guards. If all chosen units have different card names, return them all those units to your hand. If 3 or more units were returned, choose 2 cards from your hand, call them to separate rearguard circles in different rows, and this unit gets a critical to the end of that battle. So why I'm suggesting Olivia has a chance of coming back, specifically for Lauris, is because Somni, if she does create 2 forest markers, this opens up again more room for you to multi-attack and for you to use older cards such as like Laurin, which is a stand trigger back in the day that essentially allows you to Soul Blast 1. You can return a rearguard to your hand, and you have to discard a 4 that cost as well, and you can call a card from your hand, so you can get even more attacks. This one, Martoa, you can play Leaves a lot. It's a lot of options you could do, but since Olivia, it's a lot more free than using something like Alk, but you could use Alk as well since we do have Lauris, and you could go a harmony based route. This just opens up, like I said, the clan to some of the older strides that might be more valuable, since Somni on just creates 2 force markers, which is very valuable to other decks. Now, compared to Highlander, which has to either use Reindeer to generate more markers for 1 turn, like I said, Somni and Somni creates 2 on the spot, while other V bosses have to either ride again to create the other marker or use Hotrada. So this is a very big boon for Lauris and Harmony in general, just to on demand get 2 force markers. Now you can of course ride a different boss to get another force marker, but on demand getting 2 force markers is pretty strong for Bermuda. Not just Bermuda in general, just other clans in general. Some can only generate 1 marker a turn, but using this old stride bearer and these new strides, you're able to just generate 2 gifts faster than the V1. So that is all I really want to talk about just for today. I will be making more videos about more stuff for premium and just what my thoughts on like possible deck builds that we can do with Lauris and so on and so forth, because this is a very interesting concept to be able to use the old cards again, and the new strides removing some of the issues that some decks had, like grade 2 gaming and ride down. Even though that wasn't really an issue for Bermuda Triangle, I still think it's a very interesting concept to have these strides be able to help some of these clans that could not get access to any way to combat some of the meta choices. So this is a very nice change in my opinion. So if you guys enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm Zenarion, and I'm signing off.